Oh, that word unschooling, it bothers a lot of people. Some like it, some don't. I want to talk to you in this video about where the word came from, how to use it, and give you some alternatives for words you could use or phrases when you're in situations where you don't want to use it. So let's dive in. Remember, you don't have to use the word unschooling, but let's talk about what the problem is. In case we haven't met, I'm Sue Patterson, and I'm the host and creator of All Things Unschooling Mom to Mom. We've been at this for a little while now. My own unschooled kids are grown, and I'm here to tell you that unschooling worked. 3 different kids, 3 different personalities, and 3 different life paths, and doors didn't close for them. So I offer all kinds of ways to help you have more confidence. And this week, I want to talk about the word unschooling. A lot of people don't like the un in the prefix. That's often one of the first arguments. People thinking that starting with un immediately starts us off with a negative. And when you really like unschooling, you don't want to put a negative spin on such a positive concept. This wasn't one of my initial concerns because I could immediately think of dozens of words that use the un prefix, but were quite positive. The origin of using the un prefix comes from John Holt, who'd been a teacher who turned into a vocal homeschooling advocate. And the un prefix really came from the 7-Up commercial in the 1970s. The actor Jeffrey Holder referred to this clear soft drink as the un-cola. It was a fun spin on something society was thinking about positively. Oh, and that laugh, I loved him. I can see wanting to tie into something like that. Holt went on to use the term in his magazine, Growing Without Schooling, but in 1977, he defined the word unschooling to mean taking children out of school, plain and simple, kind of like the commercial. Over at the blog post, I linked to the YouTube video showing you what this is all about if you're too young and you missed it, or you just want to hear Jeffrey Holder's voice again. So let's think about those unwords that are positive. Here's a little collection of unwords that are like unafraid or undisturbed or unfurled or unselfish or unhurried. It's a nice list. Who wouldn't want to be these things? The next part that bothers a lot of people is having schooling as the root of the word. And I get it. This was the part I wasn't crazy about. Nothing in our lives related to school except our label. And as we came to embrace unschooling, we truly lived as if school did not exist. But not so with most of the world. So most of society sends their kids off to school. And if words are used to communicate more than simply label, then it has value to use it. It doesn't change what we do in our homes at all. Then over the years, through magazines and email lists and now social media, parents have shared their dislike for the word unschooling. And as time went on, different people became associated with the word unschooling. And while they've offered ideas to people who never considered some of these more natural ways kids and all humans really learn, some were more liked than others for all kinds of reasons. And I only bring this up because when someone hears something negative, true or untrue, in a homeschooling circle about a particular person that they're associating with unschooling, then people think of unschooling negatively too. They end up throwing the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak, and that's unfortunate. So you have to do your own investigating. I was speaking at a conference years ago, and a mom said, I love the idea of unschooling, but I can't stand the word. Do I have to use it? Well, absolutely not. But as we talked, she clarified that it seemed too in your face for her to share with family members and friends who already thought leaving the school system to homeschool was radical enough. Calling themselves unschoolers would set them up for all sorts of eye rolling and ridicule. And a lot of this is part of the discomfort of stepping out on your own, walking away from conformity. Fear wants us to stay safe and avoid any kinds of confrontations. It's probably a good idea to not use the word with people we know have a history of teasing or bullying us when we make decisions that differ from them. And when we're new at something like unschooling and have a fairly shaky foundation, it's easy to be blown off track with a lot of arguments. Better to quietly learn what you need to know, gain some confidence before you engage with your naysayers. And another way to increase your confidence and be able to handle the critics in your life is to surround yourself with other parents opting for this unconventional approach as well. Talking with other moms and dads at various places on this unschooling journey can be really helpful. I have a private membership group where we share ideas and parents brainstorm with each other about what they've seen work. And I'm right there helping with possible solutions. If you want to go to SuePatterson.com or unschoolingmomtomom.com and you can join us because you really don't have to do this alone. So, why say unschooling? The most persuasive reason for using the word unschooling is for communication. When we're looking for others who choose this approach, we need a word to separate us from those who divide learning into subjects or operate from the more familiar teacher-led approach. The word unschooling helps us find resources that support this learner-driven connection partnership priority that's synonymous with unschooling. And I have a lot over at the Unschooling Mom to Mom website if you need a little help figuring out what we mean when we say the word unschooling. Go to this FAQ tab up here and click what is unschooling. So a lot of people still don't like it though. So why use alternative words? Because you want to. And lots of times people ask, well, are these still unschooling? Well, maybe, especially if you're prioritizing the learner and the partnership you have with them. And isn't that the way we want to approach life and learning in general? We're finding our own way through all of this, making choices that suit our families and our situations. And I always remind them there are no unschooling police that are going to come in and call you out for using or not using the word. If you want to use alternative words, by all means do. So I'd still invite you to grow your confidence enough to stay flexible. You may change your mind. Watch for how these unschooling principles show up as you begin to implement this lifestyle. I used to say kind of unschooled, and I had an unschooling friend who said we're unschooling-ish. But over time, I came to embrace the word, and that's why all of this is under the umbrella of Unschooling Mom to Mom. I started that name back in about 2012, 10 years ago. So it's not going anywhere. But those who've learned about unschooling through all the resources I share may or may not want to call themselves unschoolers. They may or may not want to call themselves moms either. But it's easy to find the resources to help you create a kinder, gentler way to learn and help kids move through the world, gaining the skills and the knowledge they really need or want. So do what's best for you, regardless of the labels. Still, if you're talking with doctors or therapists or others who may not get it, I'd call yourself a homeschooler. Let them make whatever presumption they make. It often will let you off the hook and prevent you from having to engage in more conversation about this choice you're making. Less scrutiny is sometimes better. So, on to the list of what else to call it. I asked my email subscribers what they say. And let me first say that the problem I have with some of these alternative words is that they're slightly off the mark. Child-led doesn't really take into account the parent involvement and the nuances needed to successfully unschool. Kind of implies passive parenting to me, and that's not it. Self-directed education has begun to include far more than the family-centric approach. So that can sometimes be problematic when talking with others. And other terms are not unique to those who have stepped away from the school system. Kids in school are lifelong learners too. So just food for thought as you consider your options. And then my standard alternative was what I would say we use an experiential, interest-driven approach backed up by all the most progressive educational research. Feel free to use it. Now, others gave more explanation for how or when they use alternatives. I like a lot of these. Obviously, you can use any of them. or even pull some together for a unique combination. So you might want to pause the video to take this all in. I know you don't want me to read them all to you. So it's still always good to read the room. How much information does the person you're speaking to really want? How defensive of the status quo are they going to be? Are you in the mood to explain more or not so much? Do you just need to get past this question as quickly as possible to move on to the issues at hand, like at a doctor's office? Now, remember a few things. You are the parent. No one cares about the welfare of your child more than you do. You don't owe anyone an explanation of what you're choosing for your child's education. And you're able to walk away from most conversations or at least redirect them. Like, this is what we're doing now. I'll let you know if it changes. Or it's a family decision we've read a lot about. I can send you some links if you're interested. Or I get it, it's different, but times like these have caused us to explore all our options. So I hope this helps you. Oh, there's Mara. I hope this helps you. And if you'd like to share an alternative, go ahead and leave it in the comments or send it to me at coaching@suepatterson.com. Like and subscribe, click the bell so you get notified when I upload another video. I'll be sharing how to find learning in everyday life without buying curriculum. You don't want to miss that. And if you'd like more unschooling support, I'll leave links in the show notes below. Happy unschooling, and I'll be back next week.